Okay, we have the brand new card release out as of a couple minutes ago. We are going to take a look in the context of the USFFL. Take a look at the cards, top to bottom. I've just sort of gone in here, looked at one card only just to make sure it was working. Everything's working. That's good. Let me go to full screen here as well. Let's take a look at the cards. The directory of coaches is right here that Tim sent over to us last night. And there we go, all 32. Let's take it division by division here. So we're going to start. With the NFC East, and that will bring us to Dallas to start. All right, let's take a look. At quarterback is Dak Prescott. He's the only one above 100 attempts. So there's a first look at Prescott. That's a pretty nice card. Long pass is decent with 9-10. Got some must runs. How's he doing on it? Well, looks like he's got 6 on 7. So effective, but not at all lethal. Really nice short pass. Couple blanks in the middle. Interception sort of middling. Flat pass effective, not great. Just not getting end run. At the halfback position, we have 237 attempts for Elliott, 130 for Pollard. Here is Zeke. Okay. Not the most effective card. Certainly not effective guessed right. So this is going to be a pass-focused team. Going to have to pass to establish the run as opposed to run to establish the pass. He caught 47 balls. Let's take a quick look at his pass here. Can't go deep. Okay. Now over to Pollard. Also not particularly good guessed right. Decent pass catcher as well. Very similar cards between the two. You get 350 carries. So fullback, nothing that looks like worth mentioning. We'll drop down to receivers. CeeDee Lamb. Don't spend too much time on the receiver cards. We have 32 teams to go through. We'll spend some time on the defensive cards, though, to the extent that we can see them, but we can't see them here. We can only see them in the team notebook. Dallas, average to good and average. Okay, first look, not bad. Not giving up short gains in the middle. Chunky, but not bad. And then deep, well, there's some issues deep. However, fantastic interception. 2 through 11. Look at that. That is nice. So give up some big gains too. And I guess we saw that when we watched the games last year. We saw some spectacular plays for the defense and the opposing offense. Nice incompletions on 5-6 on flat pass. Also a good short pass interception. But you see, sort of get this standard, and I guess we're going to see it again, this 212 interception. No elevated interception on the flat pass. That's been a consistent trait of Strat lately. All right, that's Dallas. Let's move on to the next NFC East team that we see here. Looks like it's the Giants. And while we're here, we'll take a look at the defense first. Oops. We're looking for the notebook. It is. Okay, so we've got a run D that's average to poor. Same for pass, and you see some problems immediately. Running short gain carries across through one linebacker on linebuck. Issue. Pass D. Okay, not so bad. Giving up some completions in the flats. Not bad completions at all. Short and long. And it's not, it's decent, not good, not bad interception. So sort of a middling team there from that perspective. I didn't look at Dallas specialists. Take a quick peek here. The Giants, nothing sticks out immediately. Let's move over to the manager. Daniel Jones had 361, Glennon with 167. So both are options here for Scott. Let's take a look here. First at Daniel Jones. Okay, he brings in some flat passing this time, and the must run still prominent. The must run was better than Prescott, also gives you an end run. Long pass, guessed right, is pretty barren, but not bad INT. So noticeable improvement there for Daniel Jones on interceptions. That's worth noting. Let's take a look at the Glennon option. I don't think this is going to be pretty. It's not. So our first look, and yeah, okay. Not going to play Glennon unless you have to. That's one of the weaker cards we've seen in a while. Running the ball. We know that Saquon was out for most of the year, but he still had 162 attempts, huh? Okay, well, hey. So he's got a card. We knew that, but I didn't realize 162. Okay, okay. Another very similar setup card to what we saw in Dallas here. Let's take a look at this next guy, which is Booker at 145. Yeah. Yeah, pretty generic looking set of running backs so far that we've stumbled upon. So what we'll do, we'll focus on the quarterback and the running back, and we'll look at the defense. That's going to give us an efficient, hopefully less than 1 hour trip through the league. Moving to Philadelphia. Attempts for Jalen Hurts. He's the only qualifier up over 100. Anyway, we'll take a look at Minshew too, though. All right. Hurts. It's going to have to be the main man. Must run, very important. And look at that drop from 9 to 3 right there and 6 to 7. So it's feast or famine on the must run, and there's a lot of them. Deep ball doesn't really give you anything right except the must runs. Short pass gives you very little. I mean, you pick up the 10. It's almost like a long pass column at short. So not particularly promising there. Flat pass is sort of 1980s, 1990s styled with some blanks, but also some hits. So gonna actually have to lean a bit on that flat pass. INTs are not bad. So flat and short, maybe go deep if the defense is poor or the free safety is moving a lot. Let's take a look at Minshew. Only get 60 attempts out of him. He's not a very effective runner with another must-run laden card. Very good flat pass. Keeps the INTs down. Sort of expecting a better card. He seemed to play effectively, but maybe that's because he was playing the Jets in one of his games where he probably was the most effective. That was probably taken into account. Now let's take a look at the running backs. These looked really good in the ratings guide, so get ready for a different card here. What do we have from Miles Sanders? Yeah, that's a card. Wow. Look at those short gains on linebacker wrong. Incredible. Doesn't give you that plus 70 or whatever it was on 11 anymore. So some of the biggest gain pop is gone. Biggest gain pop is gone. End run wrong. Yeah, I mean, 27 on 3. That's nice. 25. It's just short gains. I mean, the short gains of the story here. If you go guessed right, you're getting yards. So this is a really, really strong card. Not looking at the ratings guide right now, not looking at individual fumbles, not checking all the boxes of how these cards are in every capacity. But from that perspective, the run card, phenomenal. Best in the division by far. And once again, a disappointing receiving card. 2 more running backs qualify for avoiding low usage. Next one's Boston Scott. Another good right runner. Take the pressure off Jalen Hurts. So Jalen Hurts is going to get some guess wrong opportunities here. And even when these runners are guessed right, they're going to pick up a couple yards. Jordan Howard. Wow. Jordan Howard back with a vengeance. Great inside running. Back look at Boston Scott's receiving here. Okay. All right. So, what does the Philly defense have to show us? Let's see if I can pull up another league manager next to it. I cannot. Okay. Instead of going in and out here, do I have the ability to? I don't think I have any other way to see the cards but to go out and back in. Okay. I do that. Nope. Okay. So team notebook for Phillies D, which is rated average and poor. There's your average run D. Looking pretty good. I'm not upset about that at all if I am Bruce. And then here's the poor pass D, and the low INTs are what really drives that rating because you have a nice long pass one man and a very nice long pass zero man too. Blanks on 8 and 9. So you get the luxury of those two blanks. Plenty of other opportunities, but the nice luxury of getting 8 and 9 taken care of. So this is a workable set of defensive cards right here. That's workable. I mean, I think the key is we'll take one more look in a minute at the guessed wrong passing of Jalen Hurts. So here's Washington. Average to good on run, very poor pass. And yeah, that looks like a nice run D. No issues there. And let's see this very poor pass. Yeah, that's pretty poor. Without looking at the ratings, that's a very poor pass D. Completions 4, 5, 6 with 4 men. So that's an issue. Completion on 5. Low INT. Another completion picked up 1 man 11 and long pass. Flat pass not particularly strong. All right, so we got a leaky defense in Washington. Let's look at the rosters. At quarterback is Taylor Heineke. He had an up and down year. How's the card? Card's pretty up and down. Okay. Interception on 10, long pass, guessed right 2 through 10. So I thought about drafting him in a draft league to get insurance for Deshaun Watson, who I have. I'm glad I didn't spend the pick. I would not want to start him in a draft league. Pretty rough card there. On long. Okay, let's take a look at the must run here. Must run is hit or miss as well. So bit of a little bit worse than mediocre card. That interception long really does damper things on what is otherwise a decent enough card, a workable card until you go deep. We've got, it looks like just one runner. We haven't gotten an official word on what the adjustments were for the 17-game season. I've asked, haven't gotten an answer. It might be in these notes here somewhere in the game download, but I haven't checked yet. So I don't know if 68 carries qualifies to avoid low usage or not. Here's the main horse, though. Antonio Gibson, who is not going to put the fear into anybody. And that should draw some nice and run wrong running here. It's okay. 8 yards, 6 yards there. It stymied by the +1 on 7. You get a yard or two at the goal line. Helpful. But nothing to get excited about. Nothing to get excited about for Washington. And as we look at, go back to Philly one more time and take a look at Hurts's card. Guessed wrong. Okay, complete on 9-10, long, decent short pass. So I guess we should put up the Pro Football Reference here. Take a look at the 2021 standings. That's the way it ended up. Okay. Zoom in here. From what we just saw in the cards, it seems to me that Washington's going to have a tough time getting 7 wins. I kind of would flip those two, Washington and the Giants. Then Philly is going to be a little bit more competitive than what we see here with a three-game separation to Dallas. Obviously, you have a great quarterback card in Prescott, which is kind of the headline of the division. Wouldn't call great. Very good. Okay, very good. Which is the most complete card of the division for a passer. It's not even close. But then you're putting that up against the running back cards of Philly. But Dallas has a little balance. I mean, there's a very generic running game for Dallas. These are looks like the usual decent halfback cards for Elliott and Pollard. So a little tighter at the top, and I'd swap the Giants and the Guardians. What's their name? I forget. Commanders. I'd swap those two. That's again first look. Let's go to the NFC North. Let's go with the division leader, Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers card, 531 attempts. Here it is. Interceptions on 12, flat and short. Really nice long interception. Complete on 4, 5. Long. Must run on 8 is okay. So nothing too impressive long. He impresses short, though. That's for sure. Don't guess wrong. 2 through 11 are basically hits guessed wrong. That's hilarious. I don't know that I've seen that before. Guessed right, just sweet all the way through the middle. Of course, missing on the 9 though. Flat pass, blank on 10, 11. Otherwise strong. You see his -1 guessed right on the flats for the yak. But he does get yak on 7. Okay, like for a premier quarterback like this, I'd like to avoid the yak on 7. Strat does not give us that for Aaron Rodgers. No end run. Okay. Well, there's a lot to work with there. A.J. Dillon led with 187. Jones behind with 171. There's that generic card again that we're getting used to seeing. Gets 2 yards here at linebacker, though, guessed right. Pop that in there. But very similar column to Elliott's and Pollard's. And not much doing in the pass game. Here's Aaron Jones, 4.7 rushing average. Once again, boy, this template. Picks up 57 end run wrong. And he can catch a bit, but can't go deep. So, just along a 26. But it's all said and done. Not the sort of run pass dynamic that Green Bay had last year. But a great pass card. Let's take a look at the Green Bay D. Again, just looking at the halfback, quarterback, and the defense. Average to good and average. Okay, in this 3-4 set, got short gains popped all over the place here, but not controllable, except on linebuck. And when you control them well. That is 0 plus 1. But they're begging you to get men in the zone here. Going deep, decent interception. Not much back there in terms of completions. Again, we're not looking at the ratings right now. Flat pass, so about a little better than average. Short pass, so about average. Nothing dominating in this D. Playoff team, just going to take a quick look at the returning situation. Good penalty card. Okay, that's Green Bay. Next, let's go to second. That's 13-4. Next, let's go to Minnesota. Kirk Cousins. Interesting. Pretty decent card here. INTs compared to last year, way down. Completion 9-10. Guessed right. Saw a pretty Not useless, but decent. Decent must run for Kirk Cousins. You don't expect that. You'd be disappointed with other guys, but not for Cousins. Short pass, workable. Very workable. Flat pass, got a hole, but also workable. That's a pretty balanced card. I like that card. Look at you, Kirk Cousins, surprising us. Then let's take a look now at the backs. And it's Dalvin Cook with 249 carries. Cook. All right, here's a little bit of a different card. Short gains across the board. Don't see this very often. And look at that, all that +2 keyed yardage. Love that. Okay, so short gains across the board at 8. Not the best line buck rate for the goal line, but he's going to get you +2 on 8 keyed and a no gain on 6. No gains are valuable. And also keyed yardage down below. Keyed yardage carries over to off tackle. You get a little bit fewer no gains. You get some nice, again, not super long ones, 30 and 20 and 23 at the ends on 2 and 2, 11, 12. Next, pick up an extra short gain, a +7 in there, end run. You get the 66. Short gain on 8, of course. +5 is nice on 6. Big loss on 7. That's a compelling card. One of the few compelling cards we've seen. Let's just take a look. We don't have the individual fumble ratings up, but he fumbled 3 times and 249 carries, so it should not be that bad at all. Then we've got 134 rushes for Madison. Okay. More of the generic card that we've seen so many times. Shows up here. Picks up 48 line buck. It's nice. It's a nice line buck wrong. So that's a pretty interesting team. I mean, Cook is the best halfback we've seen so far, and Kirk Cousins will absolutely keep defenses honest. You're not going to be able to gang up, and you know you got some good receivers there. You're not going to be able to gang up on that run game. So let's take a look here at an average to poor run defense and pass defense. Okay, get a line buck in there. You're getting up 6 and 5. You're going to be able to get some yards up the middle. Pass D, not particularly good. We said we saw some weaker ones with Washington, but flat pass, a couple completions in the middle. Completion across the board on 6 and 4, 4 men. Weaker interception. The ratings would help us tell the whole story. Good deep ball from Greg Joseph. Not particularly good from the 40s. So, all right. I mean, I don't know what to tell you, but once again, I see this as the 1-2 as a tighter gap than what it's showing here. This is not a 5-game lead and a 5-game division win between Green Bay and Minnesota. We see some competitive cards here. Green Bay has the better quarterback. Minnesota has the better halfback. Green Bay has better defense slightly. Got some pass rush coming too, we know. Okay, let's go down to Chicago and look at our first look at Justin Fields. First, the defense. Poor to average to poor. Okay, issues here for sure. Where are you going to put those linebackers to cover off the short gains? You only have so many of them. And if you don't get the 7 roll, well, you might get the 4 roll. So there's some running to be done against the Chicago D. They lose the 8 and trade it for a 4, so that helps in the long pass, but not very good interceptions at all. Not good flat pass defense at all. This is not a very exciting defensive set. Okay, not good so far. Maybe we're going to see something better from the cards. Justin Fields. No. Big no there. This is must run good. Well, this must run's okay. That's certainly an interesting card to work with. His end run is not fantastic. Don't know how many he's getting. Andy Dalton threw 236 times, so he's an option. His card not particularly better at all. Rough. He's got some rough situations here in Chicago. David Montgomery. Can he save the day? With his 225 carries and 3.8 average. Can he save the day? He cannot save the day. No, he cannot. Good pass catcher. Behind Montgomery is... Yeah, not going to do it. All right, well, Chicago's got some issues. That's for sure. Next up is Detroit. Speaking of issues, let's see what we got here. Jared Goff, known for his issues, comes up with a okay card. Okay. Could be worse. Nice flat pass. You can work with that. Short pass, okay. Interceptions, not horrible at all. Long pass, weak, but, catch free safety moving around. That's still a workable card. Don't have to be afraid to throw it. Picks up a must run for not much yards at all. Then let's take a look at the halfback crew. We've got Jamal Williams with 153 carries, and he has that generic card. He picks up a short gain across the board on 3, except for end run right. Off tackle wrong seems to be his column of choice. DeAndre Swift, for going to his pass column first, which is okay. Oh, those yards are a little low for me. His run column is pretty much another generic card. Boy, seen so much of this. Off tackle wrong, though, as some uniqueness comes in with the plus 57. So that's nice. But he picks up that plus 2 that we saw from one other runner. Almost mirrors that column exactly. I forget who it was. Others get a 0 there. Guys who get a little bit better guess right running apparently get that plus 2 for the goal line work. Well, Goff isn't bad. Certainly better innings Chicago has to offer. So got to keep that in mind as we look at the defense. But so far, Detroit is ahead of Chicago in my book, but this could ruin it all right here. Poor and very poor. There's your poor run D. Okay. That's right up where Chicago's is, roughly. Pass? Yeah, a little bit worse than Chicago's. A little bit worse. You pick up the 5 and 6. Not completion laden back here, but same sort of flat pass. All right, so I see more tightness between Green Bay and Minnesota and more tightness between Detroit and Chicago. As a matter of fact, I don't see how Detroit doesn't leapfrog Chicago. So, first look, predicted order of finish would be Green Bay, Minnesota, tighter than 5 games, then Detroit, then Chicago. I don't know how Chicago manufactured 6 wins with those cards. So, tough sledding there. NFC South, Tampa Bay. Let's look at the notebook. Excellent and average to poor. So here's your excellent run D. Gives up 1 short gain in the middle. But if you get a linebacker in there, boom. Off the -3, -2, -4. Oof. That's sweet. Pass D, yeah, pass D's pretty poor. I don't think we've seen one this poor since Washington. Interesting. Okay. How's the famous return coverage here, which last year was awful. Not as awful, but still not good at all. Kicking, not very good from Suckup. All right, let's get over to these cards. Tampa Bay's quarterback is Tom Brady. That's a nice long gain on 8. Haven't seen that yet. First time. Pairs it with a 10. Love to see 8-9, but you get 8-10. Short pass. Strong enough. Flat pass. Not close to max, but strong enough and workable. Get the yak on 7. INTs Very low. His must run. At least you get positive yards on 10. That's something. So, very acceptable, workable Brady card. Then Fournette led the way, and he had 4.5 yards a carry. What do we get here? We get the generic card. Okay. So 47 mixed in here on the off tackle wrong. Gets the +2, not on the 6, but on the 8. But, when you have a good quarterback, that's enough to keep him honest. And then 101 from Ronald Jones, who was banged up last year. And you see sort of another similar pattern here. So nothing too much to get excited about. Let's go back to Fournette for a second. Okay. All right. He can catch a bit too, which is nice. Jones can't. Okay. All right. Tampa looks strong. Looks like a strong team. Behind them is New Orleans at 9-8, so 4 games back. The Saints. So quarterback situation should be interesting. What do we have? We have 3 guys up over 100. First guy is Trevor Siemian. Okay, not short pass and not much else to see here. Bad must run. At least the INTs are manageable. You got to live off the defensive cards. Next up was Jameis Winston. Lots of must runs. Okay, well, let's just jump right over there. Okay, look at this. He gets 7 yards on 7, plus 13 through 6. That's nice. 2 through 6 hits, long pass wrong. And then the must runs if the goes right. INT's low enough. Short pass decent, flat pass full of holes. But that's kind of a workable card. Taysom comes in last here. His must run, not as good as Winston's, but also not bad. He gives you that end run option. Long pass, we have issues here. Big time issues. Yeah, you're going to want to avoid Taysom Hill. Okay. Halfback. Kamara, 240 carries. Ingram also had 160, so a lot of carries here to work with. And this would be the most important reveal right here. That's not what you want to see. Pretty bleak. Yeah, you can. Yeah, pretty bleak versus the competition. I mean, there's ways to get yards, of course. That's not an issue, but this is not what you want to see. Guessed right, 6, 7, 8. This is worse than Zeke, worse than a few others that we've seen. Deep ball, not really. It's there, but not much. Pretty good flat pass. Where's stats? 240 for 3.7. We'll do it. Let's take a look at Mark Ingram. Does Mark Ingram save the day with his 3.5 average? Probably not. Nope. But he gets you more right running in here. So it'll help with the goal line. Other than that, this is not. Okay. Challenges for the New Orleans offense. Very interesting offense because you're dealing with that must run, but how much guess pass are you going to get? Well, probably a lot because these running backs are not worth guessing a run on that often. The New Orleans run D is good to excellent and good. That's nice. Pass D also pretty nice. Not great, but nice. 2 through 7. Blanks on 5 and 6 for men. Got the completion there. That'll annoy you. And a completion there that'll annoy you. It's a little bit vulnerable to the flat pass. Okay. Yeah, it kind of looks like a 500 team. It's all said and done. Next is Atlanta at 7 and 10. The Atlanta D looked pretty bad to me most of the year. And yeah, there it is. Poor and very poor. And very poor indeed. 2 through 10, 2 through 11, 15 yards. Pass D is not bad deep at all. Not going to get you any picks. But you can hold your own deep there, one man, for sure. Short pass rougher. Again, not getting picks. Flat pass, big problems. 3, 4, 5 in the middle. Let's take a look at the squad. Matt Ryan. Not vintage Matt Ryan here. 3-4 guessed right long pass. A noticeable step down from Matt Ryan's card. He usually gives you a real strong 3 levels, maybe not the top of the game anywhere, but strong. Well, that's not strong enough. Long pass, short pass, decent. Not great. Flat pass looking good still. Interceptions, I think a tick backward for Ryan there. Gets some must runs. He's not going to do much with them. So not the traditional Atlanta team that we've seen over the last 10 years, and not the traditional card from Matt Ryan. 153 carries for Cordell Patterson. Should be an interesting card. Well, that's not very interesting at all. Nothing particularly dynamic about that one. Right or wrong. Can he catch the ball well? Oh, he sure can. Okay. So long pass completion on 4. So he's picking you up, 5 completions, guessed right wrong. Guessed right long. And he's a target. He's a real target, real weapon out of the backfield. Plays halfback, flanker, and he kick returns as well. Let's just take a look at that while we're here. Not particularly good kick returner. All right, Patterson's an interesting guy. Davis, 138. And not much to see here either. 17 on 7. Yeah, lots of mediocre running cards. Wow. All right, that's Atlanta. Very troublesome defense. Ryan, not quite good enough. Neither of the runners good enough. Next up, Carolina. Quarterback. Sam Darnold with 406. Cam came up with 126. We'll take a peek at him too. There's Darnold. Can do some running. Can he pass? Well, you don't want to go deep too often. Not a very fun card to work with. I mean, there's some opportunities in here. There's not blanks everywhere, but there's enough blanks for sure. Cam Newton, speaking of blanks. Yeah. So a step down from Darnold is Newton. Or so it appears on first glance. Halfbacks need to step up. Can they? Chuba had a really good year, but just averaged 3.6, so might not be much here. Yeah, boy. Another generic halfback card. Boy, I keep on saying it, but it just is, isn't it? I mean, come on. One after another looking exactly the same to me. Scattered short gains on off tackle. 6, 7, 8, basically no gain, or maybe a +2 sprinkled in, guessed right. And it's another one here with Chuba. Not a very strong pass card. McCaffrey will qualify, 99. So it's worth a look. 4.5 yards per carry. So that gives you some pop. And a short gain on 6 and 8, 7 on 7. That's a little more pop. End run looks interesting. Some definite good right running here. You may not get it 6, 5, 6, 7, but everywhere else you're getting plus yardage. So McCaffrey's a bit of a weapon, an upgraded weapon. Not a world beater by any stretch, but he's an upgraded weapon. And look at that. Speaking of weaponry. How many passes did he catch? Because that's going to drive your overuse too. You got 99 rush attempts and 37. That's good. It's all said and done. So you got 140 roughly. 136 times he touched the ball. That's going to drive his overuse. So McCaffrey's an interesting weapon. Let's take a look at the Carolina D. This D looked great early in the year, but then it tailed off. Average to poor. Okay. Yep. I would say that's correct here. That seems right to me. Average to poor. We've seen better. We've seen worse. Pass D. Ooh, bad INT, but nice completions again. Deep. One man. Picks up the -4 on 10 to offset some of this completion problem here. Short pass format isn't bad. Okay. It's an interesting team with interesting quarterbacks. So how does this stack up? Well, this is the first time I say the division standings look a little bit more like I'd expect them to fall. So not much comment here, you know. Not much comment. I think you're going to see it turn out pretty close. Atlanta, Carolina might be more of a toss-up at the bottom. Maybe all three of them beneath Tampa might be more of a toss-up. Where any of those three could take over the other, but Tampa the clear leader. NFC West, champion Rams. Let's go to Los Angeles. Take a look at the notebook. Good, average to good. Scott squad looking strong. One more yards than you want to give up. Line buck one man. Clamps it down though, off tackle one. End run you really don't have to worry about. That's helpful. That's really helpful. I mean, you need when you have a column that gives you the ability to focus on your weaknesses. Right. So he doesn't have to worry about end run very much. I know he's got a 6 out there, and that's Sean Robinson. Might have another 6 out there. So you can move your guys to the interior. That really helps a lot. Pass D. Good. Yeah, not great. The INTs are about average, but nice completions on short for sure. That's really the hallmark of this D. It's running the point to short pass. Looks really, really nice. Let's take a look at the team. Matt Stafford at quarterback. Did not expect to see INT on 9 there, did I? Oh, a little problem deep. Completion on 5 and 10, but a pretty stout interception sitting in the middle of the party, ready to break it up. Short pass, good. Flat pass, good. It's good. The way that the interception on 9 carries over and the spacing makes it a little bit worse than you think it is. It makes you feel like there's a blank in there. There's not. The only blank guessed right is on 6, 11. You have the negative on 2. So that's a decent flat pass card. But this is not a world beater sort of card. So a definite step down from Brady. Carrying the ball, 149 attempts and 208. So let's go to our 208. Sony Michel. Average 4.1 per carry. Gets you some short gainage across the board on 10. Also picks up that 9 there on linebuck. So a slightly upgraded card versus some of those that we've seen elsewhere, but nothing to get too excited about. Then who's next? Is it Henderson? Yeah, Henderson. 4.6 average. Could see something interesting here. We really don't. Oh yeah, short gains across the board on 4. Okay, that's nice. So another upgraded running back card. So 2 upgraded backs, a decent Stafford card, and a pretty strong D. I'm not too excited about this team, but obviously it's a good team. Arizona, the Super Bowl winner, you expect to get excited. Good versus the run, poor versus the pass. Well, that good run D has to be coming mostly from the fumble rating, which we do not count at all in USFL. So that's an overrated run defense right there, in a strict sense of the terms, because it's just not as good as good. Pass, which is rated as poor, has low INTs driving that. The completions aren't bad at all. Completions aren't bad. Let's go to the rosters. Kyle Murray. It's this edition of Murray's card. Gets 6 yards on 7 on the must run. Not much doing on the end run. It's okay. Throws a decent flat pass, as you'd expect. Short pass. Okay. Not great. Okay. Long pass. A little bit worse than okay. Completions on 3 and 10 guessed right. Okay. This looks like a guy who was injured a little bit last year. Running the ball. 202 for James Conner. A lot of touchdowns. And he gets some keyed yardage. I was wondering about Connor's keyed yardage, and there you go. 2, 3, 4, 2 through 4, 10, and 12. He'll get you keyed yardage up the gut. Nice short gains off tackle wrong. This is definitely an upgraded card from what we saw before and many other backs that we've seen. Pretty strong card here for James Conner. He can carry the load. 200 carry back. Catch a little bit too. 45 guessed right flat pass is nice. Other than Connor, we've got Chase Edmonds. Average 5.1. Doesn't get a nice linebacker off tackle columns, but 54. But look at the end run. I think, is this the first long game we've seen at any card anywhere? I think so. There it is. Not much catching. All right, that's Arizona. Moving on to San Fran. We've got two interesting quarterbacks here. Hold on tight. Here's Jimmy G. Must run is not good. Passing columns. Okay. Not bad. Hey, this could have been disaster. It's not a disaster. Flat pass is okay. Flat pass right INT. It's elevated, but for Jimmy G, you take that. Completions on 6-7 guessed right short. Must run doesn't help, as we saw. Long pass, not good. but you have his flat and short pass column to work with. Okay, that's workable. Lance just 71 attempts, but let's take a look because he's a notable rookie. Okay. At running back, 207 carries for Elijah Mitchell, averaging 4.7 yards per carry. Gives you short gains across the board on 6. Can run really at all 3 levels. Not much in the way of guessed right running, but not bad at all. You got some pluses here, pluses 10, 11, 12, and of course the one on 6. It's a nice card. And not much in the way in the receiving column. 100 and nobody else hit 100. 79 for Wilson. And he's bringing you a decent card. Pretty much that generic card without the short gains there, but he's getting you a +2 on 7, and +3, and a +1 on off tackle right there. So that's a helping card. Okay, well, San Fran has some things to work with Jimmy G's flat pass column, short pass column, and some decent running. So far, so good. How's the D? Average to good and poor. Okay, run defense looks effective enough, especially against all these poor running cards that we've seen. Pass defense, it kind of falls apart. Flat pass is ineffective. Short pass, decent completions, but really bad INTs. Long pass, you're going to give up 1 there on 3. That's not the end of the world. But really poor INTs. Just not going to be able to get the ball back too often here. But San Fran, a little bit better than maybe I anticipated. But hey, they're 10-7, right? Okay, so maybe in my head they weren't a 10-7 team. Excuse me, they're more like a 7-10, which is where Seattle wound up in last place. Notebook for Seattle. Good against the run, poor against the pass. How good is the good? The good is good. Good is good. Yeah. So kind of like that run D. It's going to stymie some people. Pass gets a little help on defender, 1 man, and no man. Very low INTs. Looking okay. Looking okay here. Some penalty problems. Jason Myers looks pretty good. Good kickoff returning there. Okay, let's go to the team. Russell Wilson. 400 attempts. Long pass, 9-10 complete. He's running for 7 yards on 7. That's a very effective long pass column. Picks up the completion on 8. Low INTs. Short pass, also very effective. Guessed right or wrong. Flat pass, a little bit holier, but you're not going to lean hard on it, but you can throw that with confidence. This is a really strong card because 7 yards on must run really picks it up for the squad. So that's a good one. Let's take a look at Penny at halfback with his 119 attempts to lead the team and 6.3 yards per carry. What do we have here? We don't have it, what we want for 6.3 yards per carry. Long gains, though, dotting the 12. So he's got some chunkiness, got short gains across the board on 3. You're sort of hoping for more here, I think. So Penny's going to be let loose a little bit. I don't know I don't know how you call this team on D. This is an effective team. Good run defense. Russell Wilson strong. This card is not going to carry it, but you have Russell Wilson to pair with him. I like this team. I like this team a lot. 108 carries for Collins. And that's a pretty rough card. Not much there. I like Seattle. So what do we see here? I see Seattle perhaps. Boy, I don't know. I see Rams edging Seattle. Seattle jumping over Arizona and San Francisco. Arizona and San Francisco battling it out in a tight race for 3 and 4, but Seattle being able to take 2 and the Rams able to take 1 barely. Good division. Let's move to the AFC East. Buffalo. Quarterback is Josh Allen. The ratings guide told us to not get our expectations high when we see this card. There's a must run +7. Here we go. Yeah. It's too many holes for somebody of Josh Allen's effectiveness. High INT, relatively speaking, and just more holes than you'd expect for somebody who seems to be so effective at getting the ball downfield. Not many yards either. He's the sort of guy that I would expect. It just feels like in the mid-'80s Elway's card where you'd see a short pass for 16 yards guessed right. None of that here. Flat pass, okay. Short pass, okay. Long pass, completions on 3-5, interception 2-9, not okay. Must run will help, but not an exciting card as you may have hoped for Josh Allen. Rush attempts. One guy over 100 is Singletary. Average 4.6. Pretty much gets the generic treatment here. Picks up a long gain end run wrong. Picks up 46 in the 40. So you can get some nice pop at all 3 levels. 40 yards or more. That's nice. Not doing much guessed right. Let's take a look at Zach Moss. 96 carries. Nothing too exciting here. Okay. The Buffalo defense. Rated average to poor. It's more like average. And then excellent against the pass. Let's see what we got here. 2-3-8 pick. 2-3-6 pick. Okay. That's good. Nice setup. Long pass. Great setup. Short pass for men. Wow. That's a great pass tee. Best pass tee we've seen so far. By far, belongs to Buffalo. That's interesting. Okay. Interesting team. Next up, New England. Get some interesting reveals here. Take first look at the D. Oops. New England team notebook. Let me just run. We've got average to poor against the run, good to excellent against the pass. So you see some short gains, one linebacker again, like last year for New England. this time in line buck as opposed to the off tackle, which was a disaster last year for New England. Yeah, you got to be concerned. Your linebackers got to be moving around. The linebackers will be busy here, trying to patrol the middle and the ends. And look at this INT. Boom. 2 through 11. Long pass, one man. 2 through 7, short pass. The completion there. So who's better, Buffalo or New England pass defense? Pretty close. Depends on what you like. Completions or picks. New England just a tad behind. When again, we're not looking at the ratings. New England just a tad behind Buffalo in the completions territory. And then as far as the interceptions go, New England is ahead and a little bit worse than flat pass. Nick Folk, nice kicker. All right, let's take a look at Mac Jones. First look at Mac Jones ever for me. What do we have? We have a decent flat passer for sure. Good flat passer. +4 guessed wrong on the pick split. We have a better than average short passer. And then we have somebody who give you some trouble throwing deep. And I guess that's what we would have thought. His must run, 7 yards. The 7 roll is 5 yards. You get a couple of those. Okay, it's a workable card. Certainly if you have a good back behind you. Let's take a look at Damian Harris. 202 carries, 4.6 average, and he brings a better than average card. So upgrade for sure here. That's really going to help New England. You see on the linebuck right, you have +4 and +1 in the middle. Plenty of other pluses. You see keyed yardage coming in. You see longer gains on 2 and 12 on every roll guessed wrong, including a long gain on the off tackle, a 64 on the end run. This is a really good card. So very strong. Not Dalvin Cook or Miles Sanders strong, but very good card for Damian Harris. Anybody else qualifying carries? Yes. Let's take a look at the other rook. 7 across the board short gain. +1 there. Gives you a goal line option. Okay, New England can run the ball. New England can defend the pass. New England has a worse quarterback than Buffalo, but not the spread that you might have expected. Let's go down to Miami. And Tony's squad has a defense that's good and average to poor. That good run defense does not look so good. And again, it's one of those guys that was sort of rated up because of their fumbles. Well, individual fumbles don't come into play here. This plagued the Dolphins in the USFFL last year. It'll plague them this year too. Not what you want to see from the run of that level of rating anyway. And then deep problems. Lower INT, completion on 5. Decent completions though. On short, and decent at least on with a -4 on 10 for flat. So it's not an irredeemable pass defense at all. It's a pretty good flat and short, not so good long. Let's take a look at the team. Tua up first. Expect a good flat passer here and not much else. Good flat passer. He's got more short than you might think. Long, not good. Sort of set up like Mac Jones' card. How does he run? He doesn't run great, but on 7, he gets 6 yards, so that's above average. INTs, a little bit elevated, nothing too bad. There's an option with 225 attempts. It's Brissett. Brissett is not much of an option. You'd go with Tua. Runners. Who carried 100 times? We've got 2 guys that definitely qualify, Gaskin and Lindsey. Gaskin averaged just 3.5 per carry. Not so good. We've seen that card before. Lindsey averaging 2.8 per carry. Oof. So we've got some running problems here. My oh my. 4.6 per carry is Duke, but he just had 71 attempts on the cusp of qualifying or not, and that's a little bit better. He'll be limited, but you might see him go to Duke if you can with some frequency because you're going to get something better than what you're getting from the other guys, short gains across the board on 10. So that's Miami. The Jets. Poor and very poor. That looks, we've seen worse. We've seen worse. You get the 0 fumbles here is causing the rating to be downgraded, I'm sure. This is not so bad for poor. On the pass defensive side, let's see. INT is very low, rough, flat and short pass, about average long pass, but pretty rough, flat and short. Zach Wilson, first look at his card ever. Not expecting something good here, and we don't see something good here. Too many blanks. Just one too many blanks flat. You don't get the completion on 7 short. Not much going on deep at all. INTs are not so bad. So if facing a bad defense, you can try to find the weakness and try to exploit it without much fear of picks, except, 10 gets you 2 through 6, 11, 12. It's not good. But what other choice do you have, really? If that's what the weakness is of the defense, that's where you got to go to. Must run is a little bit above average. Mike White with 132 pass attempts. INT on 5 flat passes. Weird. No, not much of an option. Let's go to the backs. Qualifying carries for at least Carter and Coleman. Carter, 4.3 per carry. Picks up the generic card with +1. Also, however, boom, has long gain on 3. Okay. Well, that's a big supplement. So there's an upgrade, if there ever was an upgrade. 55 end run wrong. Okay. Well, plenty of other pluses. This is an upgraded card, not generic at all. Very nice job here. Can't catch short, but that's a workable card. Tevin Coleman. Short gains across the board and off tackle end run on 9. Picks up a +1 line buck. And the +2 there on 4. Okay, another decent card. Another slightly upgraded card versus your average back. So one upgraded card, one slightly upgraded card. Quarterbacks that are below average for sure. And those are your Jets. Better run D. So where does it fall out? So we have very good pass defenses for Buffalo and New England. Better passer, Josh Allen, than Mac Jones. Better runners for New England. It's a tight race. Tight race at the top. Should be another interesting tight race here. New England ran away with it last year in the USFFL. It's possible here. Again, it's possible. Those cards from Buffalo are not insurmountable at all. Miami and the Jets. Tua, obviously a bit better than Zach Wilson. Jets defense, not as bad as it seems. Barrios, we didn't look at him as a returner. He's quite strong. I don't know that we're going to see a 5-game spread at the bottom, especially with the fact that Miami cannot take advantage of its fumbles. So it's going to be tighter down below in the AFC East than I think standings suggest. Let's go to the AFC North. Cincinnati. Joe Burrow. Here we go. Expecting big things here, and we get them sufficiently. Don't like that interception sitting there on 3. And then 2 through 8 to follow it up. But completions on 9-10. How does he take advantage of that must run? He takes advantage of it good enough. Short pass, wrong passing is fantastic. Short pass, right passing is good enough with the 7 across the board. Flat pass is very good. This is a very solid card. A little bit pick heavy, but a very solid card for Joe Burrow. Running back, Joe Mixon, back. 292 carries. Carrying the load. The only guy who's going to really carry this ball. And how well does he do it? Okay. Yeah, okay. Sort of like a Zeke looking card, it looks like to me. +1 on 8. +1 off tackle. Picking up a little bit against right running. Short gains off tackle. 7 on 7 is nice. Off tackles, we're probably going to have to live here unless you're at the goal line. We might mix it up a little bit, but it's like off tackle, not much pop here. Not going to hit any home runs for you, long of only 32. He does go deep. It's always helpful. The long of 52. So you hit that long gain, defender X, and it's going to go for 52, or as long as 52. Okay. So pretty decent quarterback, halfback combo. Let's take a look at the defense for Cincy. Rated at good and very poor. There's your good. It looks good. Like it. Very poor. Looks pretty darn poor. Completion on 5 and completion 2 through 7 split on 3. Completions 5, 6 flat pass. Short pass, 4 men. No INTs really to speak of. Flat pass about average, maybe a tad worse than average. So this team's going to the Super Bowl, huh? 2 through 7, 11, 12 for Evan McPherson out to 57 yards. That's nice. So Jeff has more to work with than he's had in a long time, but maybe not quite as much as he'd want. Good team, for sure. Very good team. Pittsburgh struggled last year. Poor against the run, average to good against the pass. Yeah, that run defense looks pretty poor. Short gains at every level. Pass defense, which is supposed to be average to good, is it's a little more average. Pretty good in the completions, though. There's 6, but blanks elsewhere, and picks up the extra blank on 8. Long pass, 0 and 1. The offense was anemic. Does that show in the cards, or do we see something better out of Ben in his 600 attempts? Ben's card is okay. It's okay. Completion 10 long. Elevated INT, but not horrible. Short pass, 6, 7. Barren desert elsewhere. When he's running for just a few. Flat pass is workable. That's a workable card. It's not the end of the world. This is not a card that's doomed to an hour and a half of having no fun when you're Peter trying to repeat. Najee Harris, 3.9 yards per carry. Does not get keyed yardage. Gets a line buck +1 on 7. Haven't seen that often. Off tackle gets it 2. Not much pop at all from the wrong columns. Long of 37. Not much doing passing. So he's a workhorse, but nothing spectacular. Nobody else had carries worth noticing. So that poor run D, pretty good pass D, a battery that is workable, but definitely downgraded. You can definitely see the daylight between Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. Let's take a look at Cleveland. Average and average. That's a pretty good run defense right there. Pretty good run D. Pass D. Long gain 1 man. Don't see that very often, do you? Usually it's +30-ish. You usually don't see 1 man long gain splits. Huh. So pretty leaky back there. Interceptions about average. I'd say it's a little bit worse than average pass D as a result. Good run D. Baker Mayfield, 400 attempts. Not expecting anything here, and we don't get much. Lots of blanks, short passes where you live. That's about it. Everything else is pretty scary, I guess. Well, yeah. Blanks on 10 and 5, and you can throw some flat. He's got no yak on 7. So you're mixing some flat. Go long if you dare. Short is okay. What you're here for, though, is the backs. 228 carries for Chubb. 7 short gain across the board. Keyed yardage. Big pops. Line buck. Off tackle. End run. Okay, it's a complete card. Just a beautiful card. Fumbled twice in 228 attempts. Look out. Jonas Johnson. Whoa. There's an interesting card. There's a novelty of a card right there. That off tackle run gets 20 yards on 4. Short gains just about everywhere else. Wow. And that's on 100 attempts. Interesting card. Cleveland's got some options. Baltimore. What does Lamar Jackson look like this year? 382 attempts. There's his running. He gets 4 yards on 7. That's not good enough. His passing. Not good enough. Problems for Lamar. Flat pass is sort of his best column by a mile, given where the must run is. Huntley has enough attempts. And does he bring you enough running? Sure, 8 yards on 7. 7 on 8. That's not bad. Picks are okay. Weird on 4 across the board. But good flat passer. Definitely a good flat passer otherwise. Yeah, Huntley's got a workable card here, guys. Surprise, surprise. It takes you a second to absorb it because the interceptions are upside down. But that's workable. Interesting. The 188 attempts. Let's go to the backs. Lots of injuries last year. 133 for Freeman and then Murray. Freeman brings you a pretty interesting card here. Good guess right running for sure. Some off tackle pop. Freeman's not bad. Latavius Murray. Not quite as good, but good. Let's take a look at the Baltimore D. Rated good to excellent and very poor. And yeah, that's good to excellent. Sure, short gain is there, but God forbid there's a linebacker shows up. You're not going anywhere. Pass D did not do well last year. INTs are low, but it looks to be a controllably bad pass D. Short pass for men being the worst column, relatively speaking. Okay, Baltimore. What does this mean for the division? Boy, it's hard to remember all the defenses now. Sort of blanking a little bit after going through all these teams. But just thinking about the batteries and focusing on that for a moment. Burrow, Mixon versus Harris and Ben. Advantage for sure Cincinnati, probably more than a half game worth of advantage there. Cleveland had such strong runners, and that strength just sticks out so much that you have to assume they have a good chance of overtaking Pitt. And then Baltimore with some surprisingly decent cards, but then you actually stack it up. Are they winning cards? Probably not. I think it makes sense that they're sort of chasing right behind Pittsburgh and Cleveland for fourth, somewhere in fourth, trying to scrounge their way up to third. AFC South, Tennessee 12-5. Excellent run, average to poor against the pass. That looks like an excellent run D. Wow. Pass. Pretty damn poor. plus 31 on 5, a split there on 3, another completion down in 11. Short pass, not so good either. So these guys can be passed against. Let's go to King Henry. We're going to skip the quarterback and go straight to Derek. 4.3 yards per carry. Okay, well, downgrade versus last year for sure. Don't see that long gain on a short number. But he does have some big ones. Gets keyed yardage. Runs at all 3 levels. Good card, obviously. Good card. Very, very good card. Excellent card. Not all world card. Tannehill, not expecting much here. Can run decently. Can flat pass decently. Can't do much else decently. So Henry's going to have more trouble. Not only is card being down a notch, but he also has his quarterback that's not nearly as good as he was the year before. Very, very, very strong run D, very poor pass D. That's the story for Tennessee that won this division at 12-5. Interesting, right? Can Indy challenge? Average to good against the run, poor against the pass. Okay, not nearly as good as run defense as Tennessee. Pass defense, a notch better, but you see this long gain creep in. Haven't seen many of those on 4-3 men. Carson Wentz, 516 attempts. Hold your breath. You've got a okay card. Unless the fumbles are killer. He's not going to kill you. I guess while we're looking at notebooks, we should be looking at team fumbles too. So it'd be a good one to look at. But hold on, everybody. Okay, sorry, back everybody. So where are we here? We are at Carson Wentz, and we see a mediocre card that is not going to kill you as long as you have a decent running back. And guess what? They have a decent running back. His name is Jonathan Taylor. Might be the best card in the set. Here we go. What do we got? We got long gains across the board on 2. We've got 83, 67, 78 on 12 guessed wrong. We have that plus 38 end run wrong. Didn't give him the long gain. Limited it to the downside, 38, which, okay, fine. Nobody's going to complain too much about that. You see a -8 here, end run right. I was really wondering whether he'd get stung with an end run right big negative, and he did 2 of them, -7 and -8. Keyed yardage across the board. Good guessed right running. Don't like to see that -1 stuck in there, but good guessed right running. And we got an extremely, extremely strong card here. So 23 snuck in there right there on 4. Love this card. Love it. And not the best pass catching card. Anybody else approach? Nope, nobody else approached in terms of carries. So, given the fact that Wentz isn't going to kill you, and he's got a QB rating of 1, that's not bad for fumble. I don't mind this team. Got some pass D problems. Run D is not where Tennessee is. It seems to be a closer race than a 3-game race there. Houston and Jax taking up the bottom. Notebook for Houston. Poor. It seemed pretty poor to me watching these guys. And okay, well, it's not quite as poor in the cards. For running, for passing, not so bad either. Plus the INT is 2 through 7. Yeah, that's pretty decent. Flat pass, not so good, but I mean, it's not poor. Must be some poor ratings behind it. We don't have all the ratings in front of us, obviously, for right now. Let's take a look at rookie quarterback David Mills and his 394 attempts. How did he come out? He came out a lot like a Mac Jones. Not much different, honestly. Not much different at all. Really nice flat pass, including completion on the INT split gets wrong. Can't run very well. But that's a respectable card for as much as he was an unknown when he came into the league. Tyrod Taylor not adding much. At halfback, we have 122 carries for Rex Burkhead. Just 3.5 yards per carry. Don't expect much here. And we don't see much. Not getting Burkhead's typical guest right running that you'd like to see. Not very much either in terms of pass catching. It's okay, but not vintage Burkhead at all. He seemed to have his best year, sort of his coming out party as a lead back, but in Stratomatic, you're better off being New England's secondary back than Houston's lead back. And it sort of shows up here. But that's troublesome running game for Houston. Now let's go to Jacksonville, get our first look at Trevor Lawrence, 602 attempts. Decent runner. Passer. Well, step behind Jones, maybe a step behind Mills too. Gets that long gain wrong on 8, which is helpful. Also 11. Okay. It's a decent runner, right? James Robinson had a nice rookie card. How's he look in his second year with a 4.7 average? He looks pretty good. +2 on 7. Short gains where you'd want him. Picks up an extra one there with 20 yards. 58 yards, line buck wrong. That's always nice. Now don't have to go around the end to find your big yards. So some home run capability. I like James Robinson. Do we like the Jacksonville defense? Well, the Jacksonville defense, it's sort of hit and miss all year long. So it's poor and very poor. A couple good games here and there, but let's see. Yeah, all 3 level short gains. Very low INT, but very low completions deep. Very low completions deep. They got Shaquille Griffin back there. They got some decent ratings, I believe. So that's an underrated column. Short pass, not particularly good. Flat pass, not particularly good, but long pass better than you might think. So, Houston versus Jacksonville. We did not see much at all from the Houston running game. Mills better than Lawrence by a tad, I think, on first look. The defense is, you like the way Jacksonville can hold in that deep ball. I'm going to give Jacksonville a slight edge here above Houston. And at the top of the division, it's not a 3-game lead. It's more of a toss-up. AFC West, Kansas City Chiefs. This is the division I dwell in. Let's take a look at the Chiefs' defensive card. And let's take a quick look first at their fumble rating. Yeah, it's 3 again. Pretty sure that's what it was last year. Rough. They had a lot of fumbles last year. Average to good against the run, poor against the pass. Let's take a look at this average to good. It's all right. It's okay. No short gain off tackle like that. Picks up 33. Not many have had 30 big yards on off tackle, 0 linebacker. Sort of noticed that in the background. Pass defense supposed to be poor. Is it poor? Well, the INTs are just slightly below average, but there's more completions back here. +31 on 4. A split on 3. Completion 6-4 on short. Flat pass, actually a little bit better than average, I would say. So nothing horrendous here, but nothing to be excited about either if you're KC. Over to Patrick Mahomes. First looked at Mahomes. His 658 attempts. He can run effectively. 5 yards on 7 and plus 10 through 5. His passing card is solid. Solid. Very solid. Good flat pass. Doesn't have that blank on 5 anymore. Instead, it's shifted to 10. Double team short pass on 7, and also 2 thrown in there for good measure. Plenty of short pass wrong opportunity. Must run is effective, supplementing what is a spotty short pass right. Completion on 4-5. Okay. I mean, do you wish it was 5-6? Do you wish you crept into the 6-8 range? Sure. Double team on 4. Is that a little bit annoying instead of 5 or 6, where you might expect Mahomes to be? Sure. But we're nitpicking here. This is a good card. The backs. Got a few here. Edwards-Helaire led the team, I believe, with 119 carries. And he's going to give you that 7 and a little bit more pop on end run. And he's going to give you some guest right running plus yardage out on the end on 2 numbers that cover 6 through 8, which is rare. So you like to see that. So, I mean, this is the slightest of upgrades, but they're there for Edwards-Helaire versus the average back. Kind of like that end run right running. That's got to be up there in the end run right opportunities to gain yards that I've seen. Now, if it's 4th and 1 from the goal line, you don't care about this -5. Doesn't matter to you. So where can I get my yard? You can get yards there. Maybe somebody doesn't put that linebacker inside or outside because they're focusing on the inside. Get some opportunities there, short yardage with Edwards-Helaire. Like it. Pass catching, nothing to get excited about. After Edwards-Helaire, you have Darrell Williams, 3.9 yards per carry. Okay, also another slight upgrade versus your average back. Very good pass catcher. Not maxed, but close to it in flat pass. With good yardage, guessed right. Got to like his opportunity to catch the ball out of the flat. But beware the flat pass completion given the fumble on the receiver card. And the fumble rating for this team. All right, there's KC. Second place, Las Vegas. Derek Carr brings a 4 fumble rating if you thought KC wasn't good. Average and very poor. Okay, average run D looks pretty average. Pass D, very poor. Bad INTs you'd expect. Really bad short pass completions. Better than average long pass completions. A little bit worse than average flat pass, with these completions being offset by the -4 on 10. Let's go to Derek Carr and crew. 626 attempts for Carr, and he has a very Mahomes-like card, doesn't he? Can't run like Mahomes. 4-5. Same long pass setup. Extra INT out there. Flat pass, very effective. Better than Mahomes. Short pass looks very similar to Mahomes. Doesn't pick up the extra double team completion on 2, but nonetheless completion on 7. So he's sort of closed the gap, if anything, on Mahomes. Now, Josh Jacobs leads with 217 carries, average 4 yards per carry. What do we have? We have, a little bit disappointing for sure. Guessed right running, not where you want it to be. Guessed wrong running, not quite where you want it to be. Great frozen, okay. Not quite the pass catcher either. Interesting. Okay, anybody else come close? Nope. Next is the Chargers. Justin Herbert. He can do some short gaining on his end runs. 7 yards on 7. Slightly above average must run. Nothing spectacular, though. And how's he look deep? He's got a completion on 9, 10, so equivalent to the 4 or 5, but he's not picking up a double. He's picking up 3 chances here via double team reception on 2, 3. 9 and 2, 3 complete long. Interception 2 through 11. High picks versus his competition. Short pass might be a smidge better than the others. Would need to look. Might be one completion better. Flat pass, not as good as last year, but still looking okay. He's got a yak check on 7. So strong card. Little pick heavy for sure. But he can sort of hold his own. These 3 quarterbacks are just sort of offsetting each other. Let's see if Austin Eckler can change the game and be the best back in the division. I mean, that's a question. Who is the best back in this division? Is it Eckler? It is. No, it's not. Is it? It might be Edwards Hilaire. I don't know. Let's take a look at his pass catch. Oh, pass catching is quite good. So he brings the pass catching, of course, with the running here. He can do some work and run wrong. He's got a +3 on 7. Not a big loss on the other. Got some plus yardage here. Linebuck right. Very interesting. Interesting division in the West. Let's take a look at the Los Angeles defense, which I did not expect to be very good at all. First of all, the fumble is a 0. That helps. The run defense is poor, and is it ever? 2 through 11. Split supplements these short gains everywhere. Pass D. Ooh, look at the blanks. Not much interceptions, but nice blanks here. Deep. Really nice blanks there, deep. Short pass. Blanks on 4 men. 4, 5. Very low pick. Slightly worse than average flat pass. Help with that -3 on 10 offsetting a bit. Kicker is pretty good. Not good deep. Dustin Hopkins, but everything else seems all right. Penalties, not so good. Returner, look at that. Kickoff return touchdown on 3. Andre Roberts might be the best in the game. And then lastly, Denver. Teddy Bridgewater. 426 attempts. I assume he's a flat pass specialist. He is. Looks very Teddy-like. The long pass is not offensive. 2 through 9. You'll still throw it, especially facing a weak defense or a moving free safety. Short pass looks like Teddy typically looks. Flat pass, the blank on 10's picked up, but otherwise pretty strong. Yak also on 6, not just 5. A lot of setups are 5 and 7, but he has Yak 6 and 7. Decent runner. No big yards. At halfback, 200 attempt guys. Gordon with short gains across the board. Linebuck off tackle on 9. Long gain on 12. It's +70. Linebuck wrong 12. That's a nice run card. Melvin Gordon, very effective. That's a good balance. That's a good balance with Bridgewater, for sure. And then you've got another decent card here. Yeah. I'll go back up and take a look at Drew Lock too. Looks like Teddy's going to win that battle. Let's take a look at the Denver D. Can they make up some ground there where they're behind on quarterbacks? Fumble rating of 0. That helps. Rated average. Okay. It's pretty good there. Better than the others for the most part. Pass D. Not really an upgraded INT. You're really hoping for an above average INT. Didn't get it. Nice job, though, in the completions here. Nice job in the completions short pass with blanks across the board on 6. We all know they come up so often. Decent, above average on flat pass. Okay. You've got three very similar teams at the top. Very similar. I think these three are just gonna punch it out. Don't know who's gonna win it among Paul, myself, and Tim. And then Denver's gonna lag behind just because of the quarterback, but they're very strong running backs in the division, as usual. Best running backs in the division are in Denver, so you would expect the ability to do more than just be a spoiler. Denver could all out surprise if things fall their way. That's our look. Took a while. It's going to take a while with 32 teams. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you soon with some more broadcasts.